I'm here with Senator Pat Stefano, and I want to thank you for all of your work on getting Act 65 passed into law this year. So can you just tell us a little bit about why you thought that was an important law to introduce?
Well, you know, Holly, these days, public is very engaged in what goes on, whether it be in Harrisburg or whether it be in Washington, D.C., and it certainly happens all across the Commonwealth. Being a former authority member myself, the public always wanted to know what was happening. And in this situation, we can open that door a little bit more to make sure they are aware of what's coming up in a meeting and when items are going to be voted on.
And I think that members of the public, particularly over the past year, have been really more engaged in what's going on in their local governments. And do you have some examples of why you thought this was a good piece of legislation?
I'll give you a prime example. And this was started about 3 or 4 years ago, involved in my local school district. And I had a friend of mine who was the president of the school district, and they were interviewing for a new superintendent. They were going out nationwide, looking for different candidates, different board members. Well, at the last minute, right before a meeting, they slipped in voting for a superintendent, and the public had no idea, voted this person in without even looking at any of the searches and all the phone calls that I got, because they didn't get to participate. They had their opinions they wanted to share. And that was the basis of why we can't have that kind of activity occur under the dark of night.
And this was a bipartisan piece of legislation, passed the House and Senate overwhelmingly. So why do you think this was a good thing for Pennsylvania?
Well, as you heard from our administration, we want a government that works. Transparency. We're asking for more transparency, especially at the local level. How could you oppose that? And it's very reasonable. We're just asking that you publish your agenda 24 hours in advance. And then you only vote on items that are on your agenda. That way, the public can be engaged. They can come to that meeting and understand. That's transparency.
And why do you think this is great for the public and for particularly your constituents?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, they are more engaged in the process, and we want that. As I tell people, when bills are coming up here in the Senate and I need to vote, I go and look to see who has reached out to me, what emails, what phone calls, because I want to gauge the community's response to what I'm about to vote on. The same thing should be happening at other government agencies, authorities, and councils.
Great. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, as we set the stage for more transparency, we did allow for emergencies. So they think items can be acted on that are not on the agenda if there's some issues ahead of them that affect life and property. So we built that in. And any of their work groups or any of the executive committee meetings are not part of the transparency, so they have their protections as well. But I love the fact that the public's going to be more engaged.
Absolutely. Well, this is something that the Pennsylvania News Media Association has been working on for years, and we've been working with stakeholders, and we're just so thankful for all of your work.
Well, I appreciate all your help as well, and you're quite welcome.
Thank you.